It didn't come with a bang. There was no countdown, no cinematic trailer blowing up your feed, just silence. And then, boom, a new game appeared. Runescape. Dragonwilds was shadow-dropped into the world like a secret too big to whisper. Yet somehow nobody saw it coming. This isn't your classic MMO grind. There's no bustling city full of traders, no community dance circle by the bank. What you get instead is isolation. A raw, untouched continent, empty, unforgiving. Ruled by dragons. And you? You show up with nothing, no weapons, no armor, just a heartbeat, and the will to survive. You step off the edge of familiarity into something colder, quieter, where the wind doesn't carry laughter, only warning. It's not the Runescape you remember. It's a reinvention, a survival crafting experiment that wears the skin of nostalgia but hides a beast underneath. Inspired by the likes of Valheim and Enshrouded, but with Jagex's world pulsing underneath, Dragonwilds dares to ask you, can you survive in a world that's already decided you shouldn't be here? And maybe the real question isn't how you survive, but who you become when no one's watching. Because when the dragons wake, you're either the builder of your fate, or just another name lost in the wilds. You don't just spawn into Dragonwilds, you arrive. Cold, alone, and with absolutely nothing in your inventory. No map, no allies. Just the distant screech of something massive moving far beyond the tree line. The land itself is untouched. No player footprints, no cluttered community hubs, just raw wilderness, ancient, still, waiting. And above it all, dragons. They rule this continent, not as background lore, but as apex predators. You're not some chosen hero. You're a trespasser in their kingdom. Everything you build, every tool you craft, is a defiance of the order that's already been carved into the bones of this place. The game doesn't hold your hand. You chop trees, mine stone, and piece together your first shelter out of panic more than pride. But slowly, you carve a presence. You build a base, you craft your armor, and then, maybe, just maybe, you start hunting them. What sets Dragonwilds apart is that the world isn't randomly stitched together. It's handcrafted, intentional. And that changes everything. Each hill feels sculpted. Each ruin hides a secret. You don't wander aimlessly. You explore with purpose. The map might feel small now, but every step is packed with detail that makes it feel alive, dangerous, and strangely sacred. This isn't your sandbox. It's theirs, and they're not in the mood to share. In most survival games, magic is an afterthought, if it even exists at all. In Dragonwilds, it's the heartbeat of everything. Here's the twist. You don't grind spells through arcane rituals or rare quests. You level up by living. Chop a ye. Tree, XP, smelt a bar, XP, survive a fall. Yep, XP. It's the most RuneScape thing about the game, and it's deeply satisfying. But what you unlock isn't just flashy fireballs and dramatic lightning bolts. No, Dragonwilds is smarter than that. The spells here are survival tools, designed to make your journey smoother and stranger. You want to cut down 5 trees at once? There's a spell for that. Want to blow open a mining node instead of hacking at it for 20 seconds? Yup, got a spell for that too. You can even speed up your furnace with a little magical boost, or leap across ravines with a gravity-defying jump spell. And casting? It's shockingly chill. Runes are everywhere. You can gather them or craft them, and they don't weigh you down, meaning you're never afraid to use magic. You want to. It's like survival. With cheat codes written into the world's DNA, and yet, it all feels earned, organic, almost elegant. This isn't fantasy for fantasy's sake. This is utility magic, practical wizardry, and once you start casting, it's hard to go back. At first, building in Dragonwilds feels like a dream. Floors and walls snap together effortlessly. You lay out structures with blueprint mode, planning your fortress before committing a single log. It's clean, it's efficient. It's satisfying in a way most survival games rarely get right. But then, there's the spell. A free camera spell that detaches your view from your body and lets you float around like a construction ghost. Want to place a wall at a perfect angle from 50 feet away? Go ahead. Want to design a towering base without fumbling up scaffolding? Now you can. It's one of those, why doesn't every game have this? Moments, genuinely innovative. But the magic starts to fade when you try to actually live in the thing you've built. Because the storage system? Oh, it's rough. No labeling, no sorting, no building directly from chests. And the stack limits are laughably small. In 50 logs here, 20 fibers there. Your once pristine home becomes a chest maze filled with junk you can't find when you need it. You go from architect to janitor, from spellcaster to item stack babysitter. It's a classic case of brilliance, tripping over the basics. You build like a god, then organize like it's your first day in survival school. Just when you start feeling the magic, the crafting system throws a wrench straight into your enchanted gears. Let's talk workbenches, because Dragonwilds has a lot of them. Each one does something different. You don't just need a smelter. You need a loom, a leather bench, a rune table, an assembler, a spirit forge, and probably an espresso machine if they add one. It's like moving between different planets every time you want to make a basic item. And then there's coarse thread, the silent villain of your entire playthrough. Need a basic bag? Thread. A better weapon grip? Thread. A new armor piece? Yukoi. Guessed it. Thread. But here's the kicker. Crafting just one of these requires 6 coarse furs, and those only drop from rats. Not the cute, abundant kind. The elusive, stingy, practically mythical kind that pop up once every blood moon. So now your epic dragon-slaying quest is bottlenecked by a rodent hide grind. You're not crafting power, you're chasing rats through bushes for scraps. In a world. With smart spells and smooth building, this old-school, grind-heavy crafting system feels like a relic. One that should have stayed buried. The future's magical. But crafting? It's still stuck in the past. Let's be real. Early access has become a bit of a marketing buzzword. Too many games slap the label on just to dodge criticism or squeeze out pre-release dollars. But Dragonwilds? It's not pretending. This is early access in the truest sense. Raw, unfiltered. Sometimes messy, but refreshingly honest about what it is and what it isn't. You'll notice it right away. Key systems, like archery, aren't in yet. There are ranged weapons, sure, but you gain no XP for using them. It feels like the bones of a system waiting to be fleshed out. And the main quest? You can play up to the first big dragon fight, and then it just stops. No cliffhanger, no detour, just done. That's because what's here is probably only a third, maybe a fourth, of what the full story will eventually be. But here's the wild part. It still manages to deliver a solid 15 to 20 hours of gameplay. And that time, it feels meaningful. This isn't some we'll-fix-it-later cash grab. It's a foundation, unfinished, yes, but built with intention. And in a sea of polished lies disguised as betas, there's something oddly comforting about a game that says, we're not there. And yet, but you're invited to help us get there. Combat in Dragonwilds won't blow your mind, but it doesn't have to. You dodge, you strike, you kite enemies like it's a classic survival dance. And honestly, it feels good. There's a rawness to it, a simplicity that makes every successful swing satisfying. But the world isn't content to let you enjoy that simplicity for long. Because just when you start to get comfortable, that's when the dragons show up. Or worse, the game triggers a full-blown monster hunt. Suddenly, your D-ski peaceful base turns into a war zone. You're scrambling, chugging potions, casting jump spells just to escape, and hoping your carefully built walls don't become your tomb. And if you die, you drop everything. No filters, no mercy. It's a corpse-run classic. If you fell near home, great. You'll bounce back. But if you were deep in the wilds, say goodbye to your gear, or risk it all to get it back. And no, you can't turn these attacks off. In no casual mode, no adjust invasion frequency setting. It's full send, all the time. Now layer that with survival meters that drain fast. Hunger and thirst aren't gentle nudges. They're constant alarms. Miss a meal? You're done. Forget water. You'll feel it quick. You'll starve fast, die faster, and yes, even get snotted on by a poison-breathing dragon in the middle of building a roof. Welcome to Dragonwilds. It's not always fair, but it is unforgettable. Exploration in Dragonwilds doesn't roar, it whispers. And if you're willing to listen, it's got stories to tell. The world might not be the largest, but it feels alive. Handcrafted landscapes curve and twist with purpose. you'll stumble upon hidden corners, curious ruins, and narrow paths that beg to be followed. Not because there's a marker, but because your gut says what if. Dungeons are tucked across the land. They're not the loot fests you might expect. No glowing gear or game-breaking weapons waiting at the end. In fact, many of them feel like side quests without punchlines, but they're not useless. Inside, you'll find resources, most importantly, components for teleporters. And once you start building those, the map opens up in a new way. Travel becomes easier, your outposts multiply, and you begin to feel like you're mastering this strange, dragon-haunted land. Back at base, the building remains a bright spot. It's less fiddly than other survival games, giving you the freedom to create without the usual jank. Whether you're constructing a simple shack or an elaborate stronghold, the system supports your creativity with surprising grace. The world invites you in. Just don't expect it to hand you treasure chests at the end of every cave. Sometimes, the reward is the journey. Dragonwilds is rough, it's raw, it's unfinished. But somehow it works. There's real magic here, literally and figuratively. The spell system is clever and empowering, giving players more than just flashy tricks. It's woven into the survival loop in a way that feels smart and intuitive. Pair that with a base-building system that's fluid, creative, and shockingly user-friendly, and you've got two standout features that carry the experience. The combat? It's basic, but satisfying. Nothing revolutionary, but it holds its own. Crafting, on the other hand, it needs work, badly. Between the overstuffed workbench list and the thread from Rat's dilemma, it feels like a system built for frustration instead of flow. Then there's the hunger, the storage, the balance. Annoying, yes, but none of it breaks. The game, these are fixable things. And what's wild is how stable it all is. For an early access title, Dragonwilds runs better than a lot of full releases. If the devs listen, and there's every sign they will, this could evolve into something special. Not just another survival game, not just a Runescape spin-off, but something new, something different. It's not quite Runescape, not quite Valheim, but Dragonwilds is something all its own. What it becomes? That's up to you. Would you dive in now, or wait until the dragons sleep? Dragonwilds isn't perfect, but it's honest. It casts spells that actually matter. It lets you build like an architect. It punishes you for laziness, and sometimes for just breathing wrong. And yet it's strangely beautiful. Because beneath the frustration and the flaws, there's a pulse. A foundation that could grow into something unforgettable if the developers listen. If the players care enough to shape it. This isn't just a game. It's a gamble, and maybe that's what makes it exciting. Maybe the real adventure isn't in slaying dragons, but in surviving long enough to help build the world they were meant to guard. So what do you think? Would you enter the Dragonwilds? Now, knowing what's waiting in the shadows? Or will you wait until the dragons sleep? Let us know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe for more brutally honest reviews, right here on Before You Buy.